So one major issue that gets discussed a lot in terms of the security issue in Nigeria is um, is what is the status of the security crisis? What are we going to do about the banditry, the insurgency, the terrorism, domestic terrorism, whatever you want to call it? These are all issues that have plagued Nigeria for a while now, for plus 10 years plus, and it seems about in the last year or two that even more recently than that it really became kind of blown out of proportion. So the issue is, what is the framework, the systemic uh, you know framework around which to solve the problem, if you will. So something that comes up a lot is do we have, what's the sort of combination, or how should the police be operating, and how should the military be operating, and how should private security be operating, should they be included, just sort of all these like sort of you know different dashes of spices in the pot, as far as what exactly is the right sort of combination of things with which to address the situation. So if you just kind of break that down, and you break it down to the whole issue of how should the police work, and the issue that comes up often is that Nigeria, even though we have a country of over 200 million, we have just the federal security police force, where it seems as if in other countries, or it seems as if, for example, US has many states, and each state has their own police. And should Nigeria also follow this? You hear some sort of analysts say, oh, well, like then each state should have its own police. Then, but Nigeria is broken up into 36 states. So even though it represents a population of 200 plus million, the sort of square area, square mileage where everything takes place is really not that big. It's not that large. So maybe having 36 different um, 36 different police agencies, one per state, is a little bit too much. And for a country that has problems with transparency and accountability to begin with, then you kind of want to go toward the simpler the better. You want to go toward the simpler the better, because if you have, now you have 36 different states with their own governors and their own sort of state agencies who is answerable to the governor, to the governor's office, if you will, with those police agencies. The problem that in an environment in the context of Nigeria that creates is that it's just too much. You're asking for too much, in the sense that I would think with just 36 different ones, you have even more of a problem than now. I suppose what I'm saying is that while the idea that we only just have the federal president for the whole country might be not optimal, not efficient, but the idea of having 36 different ones that covers the whole country might be a little much, just because um, it's too much to manage. I suppose what I was looking toward was thinking more in terms of having something in between, sort of more regional. Regional as in that's like no more than 10 different ones. So maybe break it, maybe there's a possibility of being able to sort of allocate it based upon the regions that we have already. So we just sort of have the 6 geopolitical zones. So if we just go with that, if we go with those, and we say, like, we'll have the north one, the northwest one, the northeast one, we just have forces just based on that alone. That may be more efficient. That may be more efficient than having 36 different ones, which may be the cost of managing that alone. The implementation of that alone is just going to take time, and it's going to be more cumbersome. I mean, just imagine, say you're proposing, for example, you're an analyst and you're saying, oh, well, each state should have their own police, and we have other environments that have that have, where you have 36 states or 50 states, hey, they have their own. Well, those environments cover a large span of land anyway. In other words, they are over the sort of square mileage that like the US exists, for example, or Indonesia or whatever country you're thinking of. There's a lot more where like the space that Nigeria occupies covers, say, maybe 2 states or 2 or 3 states, depending on which state you choose, Texas and another state, Texas and Oklahoma. So basically the span that Nigeria covers is just like Texas and Oklahoma, for example, or 3 states, depending on how big the state is. So basically the area that it covers is not big enough to warrant saying that that you should have 36 different ones. A more useful idea to implement may be to say that we should have um, um, ones that are, again, like I was saying, that are sort of more based on region, because it definitely seems as if just having the one is it's just not working, because when it comes to security issues, there's a lot of nuances to understanding basically what is going on in each region. So it helps to have specific and specified knowledge about the area you're in. So if you're in like Northwest Nigeria, Northeast Nigeria versus if you're in another part, it really helps to have information, knowledge that is a little bit specific to the region in question. So I definitely understand the need to kind of break it up, the need to say that it's not enough to just have Abuja trying to solve the security. It's impossible, actually. It's impossible to have Abuja it won't work. So there has to be a different framework around it. But of course, the question then becomes, what does that framework become? And it has to be something that is easy to transition to, as far as the cost, as far as the sort of the manner of implementation has to be something that is easy to, and that will work in the sense that will not sort of thwart the whole purpose of accountability. Because if you have too many, then it's too much to maintain, it's too much to keep up with, to know what's going on where. If you have just one, it's not efficient. So then that's where we find ourselves. So in this situation, I would propose that, so something we have, even though we have the 6 geopolitical zone framework, or sort of in a matter of speak, we have that in existence. Like we talk about things in terms of 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, but there's really nothing that exists at that level. There's no sort of management agencies that are answerable to Abuja or to groups of states or whatever. I suppose I was just thinking of what would work is something that was really more that was tailored more to things at that level. Just things that are tailored, just in agencies that are tailored at that level, that take Northeast, Northwest, and then the South and the Middle Belt or whatever you have that are tailored more to those specific levels. I think that security agencies that do that can work. And the part about that's interesting is that it doesn't, yeah, I mean, and we'll see how that works, and then make those, and then sort of solidify those as separate forces. So I guess as an implementation strategy, what might work might be to sort of to start breaking up the training in those zones anyway. To start saying, we're gonna form the framework of how to implement the security issues around those different like regions, and then go from there, sort of as a testing to see how it works. So the reason why that is that there's a challenge too with, you don't really want to jump from one to the other, whether it's jumping from federal from like 1 to like 36 states, or jumping from 1 to like more like 6 regions, or under 10, less than 10 regions. Whether it's jumping from 1 to that or from 1 to 36, it's not really implementation wise and also cost wise. The most efficient thing all the time is jump from one thing to the other. Sometimes a good thing to do is to sort of like, in a matter of saying, just kind of like gradually phase into it, which gives you a chance to sort of test it and see what parts of it are working, what isn't working. So instead of just like, instantly going from that one to the other, if you started what was there already and you just said, okay, well, we're going to train all the ones that are here for Northeast security matters, and we're going to train all the ones that are here to focus on Northwest, or we're going to train all the ones that are here to focus on Middle Belt, and we're going to if you sort of started doing that gradually, that would be more efficient, because then you're kind of lasering in on things without really, without instantly like spending without the implementation costs of saying we're going to call it this and it's going to be this and it's like that that part of it can take place more sort of gradually once there's already sort of a test period, sort of an examination period of seeing how that's working, what that's looking like, and whether that's efficient. Because ultimately that's what you're going for, is the focus of like, oh, it's not efficient and if everything's reporting to Abuja for the security issues, because and then everyone also gets upset at whoever's there, whoever's at that seat. Are they accountable? Are they transparent enough? Are they this? And it's like, well, it's also hard for Abuja to have eyes for every single region and to be keeping up with it. So the sort of zoning it is efficient, but it would have to be implemented in a way that was gradual, that was that just started, sectioning up so they can laser in on the problem in different regions. And then depending on how that's working, then do more. And then do more of this or less of this, or more of that or less of that. So it just needs to be like a working, thinking process. And there's no instant fix that is going to be, just because you don't know how effective the instant fix is going to be. You have to come up with a plan that seems like the best idea, that seems like the least cost effective to start working, and then do that and then see how it works. That's kind of the best approach, I would think. So that would be my suggestion for that. Which just means that there is no instant solution that'll come from going from one to each one for the 36 states. The amount of time, implementation costs, just like reworking everything, confusion even, just because of that, just because now you have to replan how you do things and who are they answering to. That just eats up time. In the meantime, nothing is being solved. So that doesn't instantly solve it either, but transitioning to something that does sort of regionalize it a little bit will help, because it'll help, improve the focus on what's going on here, and and versus what's going on there, versus what's the issue here versus what's the issue, because they are different. They will, in each, so far it has proven to be that, what something seems like to someone here is going to be a lot different than what it seems like to somebody in South or somewhere else. So it seems as if the focus, being able to sort of direct. And then it also helps with funding too. Then, if this region or whatever is having more problems than another, then maybe they will get the allocation of funding more to where they are and things like that. So, yeah, not to, belabor the point and go on and on about that, but I think those are some of the working sort of approaches that we need to sort of, take into consideration in looking at the whole, that aspect, the whole security problem that no one seems to have. There seems to be an endless non-solution to.